Good morning to everyone. Welcome you for history class. Today is 4th Feb 2021. Today we are going to have the revision of the chapter number 3 of history part. Before moving to the tour of this revision part, soon we are going to have exam. So for your PT2, the syllabus already I stated to you. The style of the paper for the 50 marks already you attended it. So you are already knowing how the paper is going to be there. So in that paper, the question paper consists of 5 marks of multiple choice question, 5 marks of fill in the blanks, 5 marks of true or false, 5, 5, 5. This 5 multiplied by 3 is equals to 15 marks objective type, plus rest of the 14 marks for 2 marks question answers. Then after 3 marks question answers, 7 questions will be there. All together it is going to be of 50 marks. If you still having any doubt and difficulty, you can ask to me. Please prepare very well. This revision series is for the annual examination preparation. So in a short duration of the time, we are going to quickly start the revision of chapter number 3. In the earlier city, what was happening in the earlier city and what was the situation and circumstances? Let's check out. Saving an old building. As we started our chapter in our explanatory videos, we already seen in the saving an old building, right? By reading this one, you can understand about that, what the people are doing nowadays and what the role and responsibility of how the beautiful things, arrangement of the house, right? And how we have to preserve and conserve our old buildings and monuments. Next, the story of Harappa. Very often old buildings have a story to tell. So we are moving in the phrase to discuss about in this earlier city the story of Harappan civilization. Nearly 150 years ago, when railway lines were being laid down, so what was happened? So the engineer, they found, right, a huge mountain of the big bricks. Many buildings were completely destroyed and the bricks were taken away to construct the railway network, right? So the first time in Punjab, engineer stumbles upon the site of Harappa is situating in present day in Pakistan, right? Next, and about 8 years ago, archaeologists found the site and realized that this was one of the oldest cities in the subcontinent, that means in India. As this was the first city to be discovered, all other sites from where the similar buildings and other things were found were described as Harapan. Moving further to see, these cities developed around 4,700 years ago. Very often, old buildings are pulled down to make way for new construction. Do you think it is important to preserve our old building? So your answer is yes only, I am knowing. Next, what was special about these cities? So already we had seen in our explanatory videos what was the special thing. So their design, their layout and their pattern of construction of the house and everything was very unique, right? Like citadel form. Archaeologists describe this as an citadel, which means the cities were divided into 2 or more parts, right? Smaller but higher. Generally, the part of the east was larger but lower. This is called the lower town. Very often walls of brick were built around each part. The bricks were so well baked that they have lasted for thousands of years. The bricks were laid in the interlocking pattern and that made the wall very strong. In the city, special buildings were constructed on the citadel. For example, in Mohenjo-daro, a special tank which archaeologists called the Great Bath or the Great Bathing was built in the area. Later on, I will show you the photograph also. In the textbook already we had seen it. We are generalizing our whole chapter. So this was the lined with bricks, coated with the plaster and made watertight with a layer of natural tar. There were steps leading down to it from two sides, while there were rooms all the sides. Water was probably brought in the bathing tank from the well and drained out after the use. Perhaps important people took a dip in this tank on the special occasion. So that was all about the Great Bath. So you can see the photograph of this. Okay? So by seeing this you can understand on the special occasion how the peoples were taking bath, from where they were bringing water, and after that ceremony how they used to drain out. These are all the possible answers. Next, water was probably brought from the well, right? And for the special purpose they were using this was. Other cities such as the Kalibang and Lothal had fire altars where sacrifice have been performed. And some cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harapan and Lothal had elaborated storehouse. They were having the storehouse also to store their things. So these cities were found in Punjab and Sindh in Pakistan and in Gujarat, Rajasthan, Haryana and the Punjab in India. So by seeing this map, this is not a scale map, it's a sketch map. You can understand where is Harappa, right? Kalibanga, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal. You can see all these sites. Next, houses, drains and sea. So how the houses were there, what was the drainage system in the streets, we are going to see. So houses, drains and streets. Generally houses were either 1 or 2 stories high, with the rooms built around a courtyard. Most houses had a separate bathing area. For the bathing purpose they are having a separate houses, and some had well to supply water. Many of these cities had covered drain. So notice how carefully these were laid out in straight line. Please check out. Please see this photograph. How bricks were arranged to build wall in Harapan cities. Okay? You can see the pattern here. Moving further, although you cannot see it, each drain had a gentle slope so that the water could flow through it. Very often, drains in houses were connected to those on the street and smaller drain led into bigger one. So there was a very powerful and strong unique planning system for the drainage. As the drain were covered, inspection holes were provided at the interval to clean them. All three houses, drains and streets were probably planned and built at the same time. So they were also planning very properly and making their drainage system absolutely fine. Life in the city. Next point, a Harappan city was a very busy place. There were people who planned the construction of special building in the city. There were probably the rulers. This is all the assumption parts. It is likely that the rulers sent people to distant land to get metal as well as precious stones and other things which they required. Next, they keep the most valuable objects, such as it may be ornament of the gold and silver or the beautiful bit of himself. And was peoples who know how to write help separate the seal and perhaps wrote on the material that have not survived. Beside there were men and women, right, which were making the craft materials of all, either in their own home or in a special workshop. So, people were traveling into distant land or returning with the raw material and perhaps stories. Many terracotta tiles have been found and children must have played with these. Terracotta tile means the toys made up of the soil, right? See, these are the terracotta toys which were found during, okay, special seal you can see here, terracotta toys you can see here. A street in Mohenjo-daro with a drain above a well. So well is there. So you can see how their drainage pattern was here. Moving further, new crafts in the city. Let us look at some of the objects that were made and found in Harappan cities. Most of the things that have been found by archaeologists are made up of stone, shell and metal, including copper, bronze, gold and silver. Copper and bronze were used to make tools, weapons and ornament and vessel. Gold and silver were used to make ornament and vessel. Perhaps the most striking find are those of the beads and weights and plate. You can see the example of stone weights. Next, these are the ornaments and stone weights. Next, the Harappan also made seal out of the stone. These are generally rectangular, which already we had seen in the illustration on page number 27. In the textbook also you can see, usually have an animal carved on them. Earlier we had seen the symbol of sea. So next, the Harappan also made pots with beautiful black designs such as shown on page number 6. Let's check out, this is the seal. Okay. Cotton was probably grown at Meghar from about 7,000 years ago. Actual pieces of cloth were found attached to the lid of a silver vase and some copper object at Mohenjo-daro. So that was the finding of the archaeologists. These peoples were using clothes. Archaeologists have also found the spindle was made up of terracotta and film. So these were used to spin thread. So many of these things that were produced were probably the work of the specialist. A specialist is a person who is trained to do only one kind of work. For example, cutting stone or polishing beads or carving seal. So look at the illustration, page number 28. See how well the face of carved and how carefully the beard is shown. Okay? Let's see. Right? Embroidery. Cloth you can see, right? Showing him wearing an embroidered garment. Moving further. This must have been the work of an expert craft person. Not everybody could have been a specialist. We do not know whether only men were specialists or only the women. Perhaps some women and men may have been specialists. Okay? So by seeing this all, you can understand about how the Harappan peoples were very clever, very unique in their nature of their work. In search of raw material. So what was the story of in search of raw material? So these people were searching the foodstuff and whatever they were producing by the farmers or the herders. So these are then processed to produce finished good. For example, cotton produced by farmer is a raw material. After that, the cloth is made. While some of the raw material that Harapan used were available locally, many items such as copper, tin, gold, silver and precious stone had to be brought from the distant places. The Harapan probably got the copper from the present day Rajasthan and even from in the West Asia, Oman. Tin from Afghanistan, bronze, okay, and gold present day Karnataka, and the precious stone present day Gujarat and the Iran and Afghanistan. Food for people in the cities. So the availability of the food and what they were eating, we are having 2-3 times the question in the examination what the Harapan people used to eat or ate, you please write it down. So this is the answer. They used to eat the wheat, barley and so on. Okay. Next, a new tool, a plow. I will show you in the photograph so you can clearly understand it. So this is a plow, a toy plow. Next, the Harapan reared the cattle, sheep, goat and buffalo. Water and pastures are available around the settlement. Okay, so they used to manage their living and the food from these things. A closer look to Harapan towns in Gujarat, right? Dholavira is that one. Already we had seen in our explanatory video. So Dholavira was divided into 3 parts. Let's see. A dockyard at Lothal. A huge tank may have been a dockyard where the boats and ships used to come and loading and unloading was going on. Next, seal and sealing. Then around 3,900 years ago, we find the beginning of the major change. People stopped living in many of the city, and the reason why we are just assuming now also, right? Some scholars they are suggesting about that the fuel was required, big brick, smelting coppers and so on, grazing by large herd of the cattle. The goat may have destroyed the green cover. Probably flooding will be the one of the reason, like that. How this Harappan civilization and all vanished from earth. Next, see the question answers quickly. How do the archaeologists know that the cotton was used in Harappan civilization? Just we had discussed. The same answer you have to write here. Already, if you have written this answer, so please, no need to write. We are just revising it for our annual examination preparation. Okay? Let's check out the question number 2. Match the column. Okay? So the correct answers are here. Please see the correct answer. Those who are having the textbook, you can mark in the textbook also. Next, where were metal, writings and wheels and the plow importance for the Harappans? So these were very important because of their uses. So metals used for making tools, writing for communication and wheels for pottery and so on. Next, make a list of what the Harappan ate. Just now I was speaking to you, and what you are eating today, you have to tick it against. So these are the things which you are eating. Just have a tick mark. Next, lastly, whenever you are writing the answer of this question, so it is having the 2 parts. Make a list of the item what Harappans ate and put the tick mark. So generally the students are writing only this part, but they are not ticking it. Just rice you are eating, just have a tick mark here, right? Like that. then fruits, mustard, whatever you are eating. Okay. Lastly, I want to tell to each and everyone, please observe all the videos. Till you feel any doubt and difficulty, please let me know that, and please prepare well for your examination, and please be attentive while writing it, the number of marks, number of question, and how many of you are attending or not. Please do it properly. Lastly, thanking to each and everyone. Jai Hind.